Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Children. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm continuing my Reflections and Forecast 21-22 interview series, where I sit down with various executives across life science, pharma and biopharma to get their views in the last 12 months and look ahead to their predictions for this year as well. So today I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Aidan Harrington, who is president of PDA Ireland, who's going to tell me what his thoughts were for 2021 and what his predictions are for 2022. So Aidan, first of all, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
Thank you, Rizwan. Thanks for asking me to be here. Very well, thank you.
It's lovely to see you. So where are you calling in from today, Adrian?
Cork. That's where I'm based with the DPS group here in Cork.
Fantastic. And I just realized I called you Adrian, so apologies for that
No
straight
problem.
away. But anyway, let's start with the first question. For those people not familiar with PDA Ireland, can you give us a quick overview of the organization?
Yeah, it was founded in 2006, 16 years ago. It's still going strong. And it was a group of forward-thinking individuals who really saw the benefit of establishing PDA in Ireland, to serve the organizations that they work for, and, to bring the mission and vision of PDA, which is about promoting pharmaceutical science and regulation, to the benefit of the organizations that we work for, and ultimately to the patients that we serve. Currently, we have, in 2022, we have 26 or 28 active committee members. They come from industry, academia, training, service providers and consultants, and it's a very active group. And I guess it's important to acknowledge the role of the organizations that we work for, who allow us to commit our time, which is voluntary, to PDA. And I think that's a significant sort of aspect of the organizations that we work for. Also, we have our service providers and our sponsors who are key stakeholders in this, and they help us to present the events to the quality and standards that allow people to come to them, to learn, to meet, and ultimately to bring back more information to their organizations.
Brilliant. All right, let's talk about 2021. My very first question, a really simple one. How would you describe the last 12 months and why?
I think from a PDA perspective, we stayed connected, and that was our ambition over the last 2 years. We didn't get derailed by the events of the pandemic. We were very anxious that we would still promote ourselves to our membership. We still wanted to connect membership. I think that we did that very successfully. And in 2021, we held 4 events. One of those was face-to-face. And certainly, the ambition over the last 2 years to stay connected, we achieved.
Brilliant. Now, you just mentioned the pandemic there, and obviously last year was year 2 of the pandemic. So first year, I know a lot of organizations had to sort of rapidly change the way they worked, became more digital in how they communicated to their organization and customers. So how did year 2 impact you guys, given that you had obviously changed the way you had worked and connected and communicated to your members already?
I suppose last year it didn't really impact us in what we delivered. We delivered 4 events, as I said. 3 were online, and one of those in November was a face-to-face event, which was a pleasure to be at. There was almost a giddiness or an excitement at attending that event, and not just because of the topic, which was on ATMPs, just the very fact of meeting people, engaging face-to-face. So, the 4 events, the 3 hybrid events or 3 online events that we presented were very successful. They were very well attended, but certainly the face-to-face events in November was special, without a doubt.
Well, that sort of touches upon my next question, actually, and you've already partly answered it, I think, which is what are some of the key achievements for you that PDA Ireland carried out last year? So I'm guessing obviously the live event is one of the key achievements, as well as the other 3, but there are other achievements that stand out for you from a PDA Ireland perspective.
I think there were 2 events last year we had for early career professionals, and that's a cohort of people that we are very anxious to engage, because they are the emerging leaders of the industry. We held two events, one on emotional well-being, one on career path development, two very relevant topics. Between them, we attracted over 500 registrants. And I think that sort of validated the value and relevance of PDA and what we do. And, our sort of ambition is to help people to learn. I mean, I'm in the industry 30 years this year. Whether you're in the industry 3 months or 30 years, you're learning every day, as I am.
Sure.
And that's what we do in PDA very successfully, is to enable and give a platform for people to learn, take that learning back to their organizations, and ultimately make their organizations more successful. And the beneficiary there ultimately is the patient.
Fantastic. Well, one question I wanted to ask you was, obviously, being sort of a country organization and being based in Ireland, which is in some respects a hub for Europe in terms of biotechnology and biopharma development. Looking back on the last 12 months, what developments and stories and trends really stood out for you from an Irish perspective, I suppose I'd ask you?
I think I would go back to that ATMP event we had in November. We had some excellent presentations at that, which, reflects where Ireland is going, in advanced therapies, for example. And Gary McAlliston, I've assaulted his name there, I'm sure, is the CEO of CGT Vector. And he gave, I know they're based in Drogheda in Ireland, and he gave a very exciting presentation as to how they want to bring CAR T therapies to hospitals, to acute hospitals in Ireland. That's bringing GMP pods to the hospital grounds such that the apheresis from the patient, the therapy and the manufacturing itself occurs in the hospital ground, and the introduction of the cells back into the patient in a 7-day turnaround happens all within the hospital ground. And I think, that's hugely exciting. If you consider the science, the engineering, the regulatory science that underpins the ability to do that is staggering and hugely exciting. And that's something that is happening today. And in fact, I think in December, while it wasn't with this technology, but the first patient in Ireland did receive CAR T therapy in St. James's Hospital in December. So this is coming down the track. Also at that presentation, we had a presentation from NIBRT, which is the National Institute of Biotechnology Training and Research. Back in 2018, they set up the CGT Forum, and their mission is to make Ireland, world-class in advanced therapies. They announced at that, their capital investment, which will provide the industry with talent, with research, to enable that ambition to make Ireland a hugely successful, as we already are in advanced therapies.
Well, thank you for that. That's really interesting. So that leads very nicely, actually, looking ahead to 2022. So what are your predictions for life science, pharma, biopharma for the coming 12 months?
Where do you start? I think if you look at the promise and potential of artificial intelligence, I think that's getting more mature within the industry in both manufacturing and, for example, maintenance. Continuous manufacturing has been on the radar for the last 10 years with small molecules, but now it's a drive towards continuous manufacturing, and small molecule or large molecules is coming down the track. And as we look at, say, cell therapy manufacturing, how cell therapy manufacturing can adapt new technologies to become more efficient, to scale up, and to serve more patients, I think is something that's certainly coming down the track. And over the last number of years, I've been working in a cell therapy facility here in Ireland, and it's been hugely exciting. It's been hugely fascinating in the sense that there's an element of back to the future with this technology. It's taking us back to aseptic manual processing, and it's taking us back to producing batch sizes of 12 to 36 vials. And the ambition of this industry is to evolve, to adapt new technologies, and to close their processes from an aseptic perspective, to use new technologies like adherent cell bioreactors, which are coming down the track. So that whole area is really exciting, and there's going to be a lot more of that in 2022.
And are there any sort of trends that you see developing over the coming months, carrying on from last year? You mentioned some of them, the ATPs, but are there other trends you see developing, particularly within Ireland? And also maybe a side question to that is, what do you see the future for the biopharma life science sector in Ireland going forward?
In Ireland, it's thriving. I mean, and it's not just ATMP, it's the traditional, let's call it the traditional industry, is equally thriving. And certainly coming from an engineering background, though I am a microbiologist, in our business, we are seeing the concept studies and feasibility studies that the industry are currently putting in place, looking at multimodality facilities that deal with conventional mammalian cell culture, also having ATMP facilities on the same site, which presents engineering challenges, presents GMP challenges and regulatory challenges. But in looking at these multimodality facilities that deal with viral vectors, lenti, adeno, baculo, oncolytic, plasmids, and traditional E. coli and mammalian cell cultures, they are still all happening and will continue to happen.
Right. Fantastic. And one question I've got for you is, there's a lot of companies have invested in Ireland, though, in terms of more facilities and more production going on in Ireland. I mean, has Ireland got the workforce to meet all that demand for these new facilities and production? Or does this mean that you'll be importing, if you like, talent as well into Ireland because of those demands that you've got?
I think the industry would acknowledge that, getting talent is a challenge. That's always been there, but I think it is particularly there now. But I think, as I mentioned before, NIBRT are an incredible asset to Ireland Inc. What they are doing in terms of training, and have been doing since they were set up, whenever that was, but their ambition in research and training will alleviate some of that. Certainly, I think the industry has been very active in its dealings with universities to get people to engage in STEM subjects. And indeed, here in Cork, you have the two universities, UCC and the Munster Technical University, have started up an ID education hub to deal specifically with the needs of the industry. What courses do they need to set up, to tweak, to support the industry in delivering talent to the industry? And that's very actively ongoing at the moment.
Brilliant. Now, let's talk about PDA Ireland, and what can we expect to see from the organisation this year?
Well, we have a number of events planned. We have, and the planning is, very actively going on at the moment. So the first one up is an event that we postponed from last year. It's on ICHQ12. And, the management of post-approval changes is something that's always been a challenge in the industry. And ICHQ12 is designed to provide a framework for industries to basically improve and take the kinks out of the current process. And our event in April is really designed to bring people together to share how they interpret, or how they are going to interpret, ICHQ12 and implement it on their sites. And the benefit of an event like that is the knowledge sharing, because this is not proprietary. This is how people interpret a guidance like ICHQ12. So that's one that we feel will be very well attended across the industry, because it is relevant across all of the pharmaceutical industry. Our next event will be in May, June. It's on data integrity, and this again is based on feedback from our members. And this is, I guess, a nut the industry has not yet cracked. And, the cornerstone to this event will no doubt be the PICS guidance, which is a voluminous 60-page guidance that came out in July of last year. And the fact that it's 60 pages says a lot about the challenges of data integrity, sure, which makes it such a relevant. In September, we are going to have an ICHQ9 event. And again, it's hard to believe that ICHQ9, the first version, came out in 2006. 16 years ago. But I think there's a recognition that the ambition of that when it did come out have not really been delivered. And what the new ICHQ9 wants to achieve is to sort of rectify some of the challenges around subjectivity in quality risk management, formality in quality risk management, or not, as the case may be, and risk-based decision-making, among other things. So again, we feel that that's one that's relevant across the industry. We will have in November a topic to be decided, but it will come from the Annex 1 stable of events, which are very popular, and we haven't decided yet on that particular topic. And in addition to that, we will have ECP events, early career professional events, and we are actually looking at the possibility of a site visit, which would be wonderful because we did that obviously pre-2020. Sure. It's something that, is hugely beneficial to get early career professionals to sites to see the nuts and bolts of how a site ticks. And that's something that we hope to do in 2022.
Brilliant. And one question was about the events. I mean, I know you're obviously planning for them all to be live events, but will they have a digital element as well, or will they only be live?
No, they will have the digital element as well. And we did consider that. I think we feel that, some people for various reasons can't make the event. So it gives them the opportunity to attend the event or maybe attend particular speakers that they want to hear. So I think it opens up PDA to more people. And I suppose we learned a lot about digital events in the last 2 years. We've got good at it. So there's no reason not to maintain it for at least another one.
Fantastic. So finally, have you got any last thoughts to leave the viewers here for 2022?
Join us. Quite simply, join us in our events. Also join us as members of PDA, become part of PDA. And, go on the website, contact us at PDA Ireland, and we will facilitate your membership. And for those of you who want to become active members on the committee, you'll be welcome with open arms. So quite simply, join us in whatever capacity you think you can.
Fantastic, Aidan. So if people do want to join you or find out more about PDA Ireland, where can they get more information?
You can get it on the PDA website. You will find us under the PDA Ireland chapter, and that is a good place to start.
Brilliant, Aidan. Well, look, I wish you lots of success in 2022 with all your events and all the other things that you're doing to support members within Ireland. And there you go, viewers. If you'd like to know more about PDA Ireland and what they're doing and PDA in general, then you can check out the PDA website. The link will be above the video. If you've got any questions for Aidan based on the questions he answered today, then feel free to leave him comments below the video and also send him any questions via LinkedIn. He is connected on LinkedIn as well, so you can message him that way as well. So Aidan, all this time to say is, once again, thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to me today. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you very much, Rosa.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.